After choosing a character in Phantom Breaker, players will be asked to choose between 3 different styles that their game plan will center around. The 3 styles are Quick, Hard, and Extra. These styles are Phantom Breaker's subsystem, and each one provides a distinct advantage during the course of the match. Before going into further details, I want to give an example of another game with similar subsystem. The game that comes to mind is Capcom vs SNK 2 and its Groove subsystem, as a parallel to Phantom Breaker's styles. The same can be said for the King of Fighters 98 Ultimate Match and its power modes. Going back to CVS 2, the grooves let players adjust how their super gauge operate, as well as modifying a few of his system mechanics. For example, in C groove, players have dashes. Meanwhile, S groove has a run ability. Another is how C groove offers a roll to reposition, while S has a dodge to evade attacks. For Phantom Breaker's subsystem, choosing a style ultimately changes what system mechanics a player will have. While there are some changes to the super gauge, I'll cover that at a later time. The mechanics affected by styles are Counter Burst, Nullify Attack, Overdrive, Phantom Breaker. There are additional differences between styles, but these functions are the most apparent from a general perspective. Let's first identify what these 4 mechanics are, before we go over how styles affect them. I'll also mention games with similar mechanics to help my point. But bear in mind that these are suggested similarities and are not one-for-one in their design. Counterbursts are special attacks that carry some unique properties. Offensively, counterbursts can be cancelled into from normal attacks, specials, and even from throws, and most of them cause some type of knockdown on hit. Counterburst can be used defensively as the startup of it has clash frames. From that clash, players can free cancel into most actions. Counterburst is also one of many Phantom Breaker's guard cancel options. Lastly, players can charge their counterburst into an unblockable attack called Critical Burst. A similar mechanic to counterburst can be seen in Ultra Street Fighter 4 with its Focus Attack. Nullify Attack is a defensive technique that will remove pushback and chip damage from guarded attacks. Players can also cancel out their Nullify Attack and attempt to counter their opponent. Using Nullify Attack will gain some super meter for the defender, while also adding to the tension gauge too. Because Nullify Attack is still considered guarding, the guard gauge still weakens when Nullify Attack is used. A similar mechanic to Nullify Attack will be Guilty Gear's Instant Block. Overdrive is a power-up state that grants the player some buffs for a limited time. These buffs include a faster red light recovery and making characters' normals do special hit damage. Overdrive initial activation have some invincibility on startup. Also, since it can be cancelled into, players can use Overdrive as a pseudo roaming cancel. It should be noted that players in Overdrive mode cannot guard, and certain actions will end Overdrive prematurely. The length of Overdrive is determined how much burst meter the player possesses, with more meter meaning a longer Overdrive state. There are additional benefits to Overdrive based on which style the player has. These will be covered later on. A similar mechanic to Overdrive will be Waku Waku 7's Super Mode. Phantom Breakers are the most damaging attack a character has and can be akin to a final super. which will change based off the style chosen. Phantom Breaker is the only attack that opponents need a full burst gauge in order to break out with an emergency mode. Note that Omnia style does not have Phantom Breaker, but replaces them with a universal super called All Range. The mechanic similar to Phantom Breaker will be Ultra Street Fighter's Ultra Combo. In Quick Style, characters' mobility and overall frame data is improved by having faster startup and less recovery on certain attacks. Players can double jump to cover greater distance than any other style. Furthermore, players can use Slip Shift Cancel to either further their combos or be used as a guard cancel. Quick Style's Ground Counter Burst lets players use Slip Shift Cancel. By using a portion of their burst gauge, players can cancel out of their counter burst on hit into a forward dash, back dash, high jump, and dashing attack. The application for this allows combo extensions that would otherwise be impossible. Another use for Slip Shift Cancel is to bait out emergency mode. A similar mechanic to Slip Shift Cancel will be Ultra Street Fighter 4's Focus Attack Dash Cancel. Not anime enough. More. Give me more Kusogi. Yeah, that's the good stuff. Quick's Nullify Attack is Slip Shift Dodge. This makes the user invulnerable for a short period when the opponent attacks them. Slip Shift Dodge has the advantage of having a wider activation window compared to Protection and is particularly strong against projectile zoning. Players can also dash or use high jump as guard cancel options with Slip Shift. This Nullify Attack doesn't weaken the guard gauge unless it's used as a guard cancel. Downside to Slip Shift Dodge is that it's only usable underground and certain block string disables it altogether. Not to mention, guard cancel throws and command grabs beats it cleanly. A mechanic similar to Slip Shift Dodge will be JoJo Bizarre's All-Star Battle's stylish move. Quick's Overdrive is Overclock. Besides the universal perks of Overdrive, Overclock also slows down the opponent during the duration of Overdrive. Also, the user is able to freely cancel a number of attacks into each other. For example, players can do specials into normals, special into other specials, and can even combo into their throws. With proper sequencing, players can do pressure that disables guard cancel into guaranteed guard crush. Overclock is similar to cancel combos seen in Street Fighter Alpha series. Quick Style Phantom Breakers appear to be supers that reinforce the character's strong attributes. For example, rushdown characters like Kokoa and Itsuki have rush combos, while zoners like Infinity and Mei have overwhelming projectile supers. In hardstyle, characters have very high stats, being able to deal out a lot of damage as well as take in plenty of damage. Endurance Match is this style's specialty since their defense is hard to penetrate with protection and solid armor. A well-placed critical burst can be a momentum shifter, and set burst is just icing on the cake. Hard style counter bursts have an improved critical burst with a stronger knockback effect, usually resulting in a wall bounce. Hardstyle critical burst can become even stronger when used in tension mode. This attack is called set burst. While not counter burst related, some special attacks gain guard points during their startup. This cool mechanic is similar to Street Fighter's
Ew, get better material.
Hard's Nullify Attack is protection. This defensive technique dramatically reduces guard stun and guard gauge damage. Probably the biggest advantage of protection is that it's usable in the air, and this lets players guard against air unblockable attacks. Protection will still deplete the guard gauge, but it will make guard crash impossible. This Nullify Attack is strong against strike attacks, but ineffective against projectiles, especially against multi-hitting ones. Protection is similar to Yatagarasu's Attack of Catalysm's parry. Hard's Overdrive is solid armor. This overdrive grants the user some resistance against opponent's attack, and its red life recovery compared to overclock is much faster. While in solid armor, players' damage is significantly higher in proportion to the tension gauge. Solid armor has one more perk called stalling. Essentially, if solid armor is used during overclock, solid armor's timer will slow down as well, allowing the overdrive to last longer. A similar mechanic to solid armor will be Poken's Tournament Synergy Burst mode. Hard Styles Phantom Breaker seems to be the antithesis to the character's strong trait, by giving characters like Shizuka and Rhea, who focuses on melee attack, some type of projectile super, while characters who have weak anti-airs like Sophia and Rin, who gain a super that's suited for that purpose. Estra is a unique style with a few particularities that I can't properly cover at this time. While Estra is present in Phantom Breaker Estra, Estra and Phantom Breaker Omnia has gone through a massive revision, going far as to be rebranded as Omnia style. For now, if we go by what the official website tells us, Omnia style lies somewhere between quick style and hard style, though with this double jump, it leans slightly closer to quick style. Omnia style doesn't allow you to use overdrive or emergency mode. Phantom breakers also cannot be used in Omnia style. However, Omnia style is the only style that lets you perform an all-range attack when your burst gauge is at 400%. When using Omnia style, you can perform light chains, medium chains, and heavy chains by simply pressing the light attack repeatedly, like you could in Phantom Breaker Battlegrounds. In addition to being able to use Slip Shift Dodge as a Nullify Attack, players can also use non-ES Special as guard cancels. Thank you for watching this video on Phantom Breaker's styles. When Phantom Breaker Omnia has released proper, I'll do a follow-up video detailing Omnia styles mechanics. In the meantime, if you want to join in discussion about Phantom Breaker or nerf for some matches when the game is released, try joining the Phantom Breaker community Discord. Which style has your interest? Tell us in the comment section below. For now, the fire in your heart is burning.